Hello, I'm Alan. Today, the timer's going off. Today is going to be a little bit different, so I'm not necessarily reviewing a specific Gyokuro, as kind of giving some lessons learned over this last year, and and also giving an overview of some of the Gyokuros I've drunk, and which ones I found I really, really liked, and which ones I found I really, really didn't like. So while this is dripping, so what I'm drinking is Mei Leaf's Oku Hikari from 2019, and you can tell I've now upgraded to a nice little shiboridashi. Versus that glass teapot. I found that this size is perfect for what I drink this every morning. It's just a nice little size where I get enough liquor to do a little bit in the shot, and then a little left over to collect for an encore. And so later I might do another video about all my teapots, but I tried all. I've got like 23 or something different pots, and I've tried all the different materials, and essentially kind of what it came down to was the size that was big enough to allow for an encore, but not too big that I was having the jitters. So this is a good size. So before we get started with the overall reviews and lessons, cheers. Nice. So this one, well, we'll see once it comes across, once I start going through the list of all the teas I drunk. Just a minute. All right, I'm back. Okay, so some of the lessons learned. So when it was last fall, September, October or so, is when I started finding other vendors. So I'm still pretty new into the whole tea scene, and so I had just started seeing vendors, and I'm like, ooh, let's hit hard with Gyokuro. And I just bought up last year a total of 36 different Gyokuros. So first lesson I learned, because as I was starting to drink through them all, literally last week was when I drank finally or sampled the last different one, and what I was finding was that it was starting to go stale. So first lesson learned is that 36 teas all at once is way too many to buy when I'm hitting hard. So I'm going to approach it a little differently this year, where I'm still going to buy from the same 9 vendors I bought from last year. The differences being I'm only going to buy the ones that I deemed were fuck yes, this is amazing and my absolute favorite. I'm then going to buy anything new from those 9 vendors that they didn't offer last year, but they have new for 2020. And then just so that way, so Ocha was the last vendor's tea that I was started to drinking through, and so just to give them the benefit of the doubt, I bought the 5 highest grade of the tea offerings they have, just so I can for sure know that what I was tasting wasn't just staleness, essentially. These were teas that were over a year old, starting to approach a year and a half or so. And so I suspect what I was tasting was simply them going stale. So the nice thing about now having a pot that I've picked is I can kind of project how much tea, if I was to drink this every single day, I could reasonably consume in a year. So this shiboridashi, with the ratio that I like to brew, 6 grams per 100 ml, this uses 4 grams of tea. It's only about a 60 ml shiboridashi. So 4 grams times 365 gives me about 1,460 grams. So roughly 1.5 kilos of Gyokuro is what I can reasonably drink through in a year, and that's kind of where I'm going to limit. So this year I'm just basically buying the fuck yes, any new ones, and repeating some of Ocha's to give them the benefit of the doubt. Because you can see I've got at least a kilo and a half still to drink through. So this is just a combination of a bunch of no's and meh Gyokuros. I've got this quart mason jar plus probably the equivalent of 2 more quarts between all the other mason jars to drink through. So I'm covered for this year. I bought a lot. So let's go ahead and drink the next one. So that first, I'm just starting to experiment a bit more, especially now that I've got this much tea that I can kind of play with, having done an initial discovery of what kinds of Gyokuro I like. So the first steep I did was just room temperature for 14 minutes. This is going to be now a little bit different than previous ones where it was a minute and a half. I've cut it back 15 seconds. So now I'm only doing it a minute and 15 seconds for the subsequent steeps. This is 60 degrees, which is simply just as low as this kettle will let me go. So 60 at a minute and a half. Get that all lined up. And that's only about 40 seconds to go. You can see I've kind of evolved in my equipment, bought a dedicated little cup. This is good size for my morning drink of Gyokuro, and can hold the encore, the mix of all the steeps. I of course use it for other tea as well, but I'm kind of starting to set up what's working for my sessions, and as I drink it. Progress that to the second one. About 5 seconds or so. This teapot I bought from Mei Leaf. It's from Japanese artist Shimizu Hokujo? It's Hokujo. It's the other name I'm having troubles remembering. I really liked the pattern of it, and I've actually got 2 of these. This one I bought from Mei Leaf, and another one I bought from, well, I'm not remembering, but it was from a Japanese site. Hokujo's a very well-known tokoname teapot maker, and so I've got 2 shibori dashis and a side handle from him, actually. But, alright, so we'll get this drunk. Now, the nice thing about this tea, it takes a little bit for the aftertaste sometimes, but this has a kind of a little lemony aftertaste. I don't really get the lemon as I'm drinking the liquor. It's almost purely aftertaste is where I'm getting the lemon. But cheers for steep 2. And this one I put as a yes. Is a good one to buy. It wasn't quite at the fuck yes. This is amazing in kind of a Gyokuro orgasmic way, but this is definitely a delicious one. Alright, so 2 steeps in, let's go ahead and start reviewing or going over the teas I drunk. So I'll put this on the screen so you can see this a little better as well. For the no's, the ones that I drink and was just like, absolutely no, this is never being purchased again by me. Maybe it's out there for somebody, but just not for me. So there were 5 that I experienced. So Den's Tea's Gyokuro Kin was a nope. Tea Source, their Gyokuro was a nope. That one was the very first one that gave me a super huge letdown, where it was so promising and looked amazing, and I got 1 good steep, 2 steeps max, and it was just super expensive and did not survive multiple steeps. Yuki Cha's Yukicha only does organic tea, so they were a fun vendor to try. Two of theirs were no. Their organic Gyokuro Hisui and their organic Uji Gyokuro Goko. And then one from Ocha was a no, which was the Uji Gyokuro Shun. I hope I pronounced that right. If I didn't, oh well. We'll do the, well, let's see, I've got 2 more steeps. Let's go ahead and get the 3rd steep going. Look at that timer. So I've increased this to now 65 degrees. We'll do the same amount of time, minute 15 seconds. Get that warming. And go over the meh. So in my tea journal, how I notate these is just basically 4 things. It's a note to me on overall impression and would I consider buying this again. So I've got no, meh, yes, and fuck yes. No's are just absolutely, that was horrible. I don't know what was wrong with it. Never gonna risk buying it again. If someone offers it to me, I'll taste it again, but I'll never buy it again. The mehs were, it was just, as the word says, it was meh. It wasn't horrendous and disgusting, but it also didn't spark anything exciting. It was more of, I would say, just like a, not Gyokuro, but whatever the other, the sencha. Like, it could have just been a sencha for me, so it wasn't Gyokuro. So it was just meh. It was good, but meh. Then yes are the ones that are like, absolutely, I would totally buy this again. It's not something I would buy first if given the option of the fuck yes, but it's something I would definitely happily purchase again. And then the fuck yeses were the ones that made me like roll my eyes in the back of my head, like, holy crap, this is amazingly blissful deliciousness. And so those are my 4 main categories of how I notate it in my journal, which there'll be a link if you want to look at my tea journal and kind of what I've drunk through. You can do that. Let's get this. Kind of just doing this on my lunch break, so it's a little rushed. But anyway, cheers, steep 3. This is part of why this one is a yes. I'm starting to get some bitter notes on this 3rd steep. It's also just like, it's delicious, it's a yes, but it's just so-so. Like, it's not quite the fuck yes. The aftertaste is kind of what put it over from a meh to a yes for me. It was the fact that it was a unique aftertaste. I didn't really experience too many that gave me a lemony aftertaste. So I went ahead and give this yes. It was delicious, it was unique, but it was just delicious. It wasn't orgasmic. So now for the mez. Den's tea, they had 2 offerings, and one was a no, so their other one, their Gyokuro Suime, was meh. Sugimoto tea also had 2 offerings. This one was just called Gyokuro, and it was a meh. Hibikion, their organic Gyokuro. So, quick note on the organic ones. Very common feature that I found as I was drinking through these was they were very drying. Some of them very distractingly dry, so they got the nose and the mez, where it was just like, this is so dry. It's just something similar I noticed of an organic versus just a standard Gyokuro. Then Camellia sinensis, their Gyokuro Shizuoka organic. Yukicha, they're also, yeah, again, all they offer is organics. So their Kirishima Gyokuro Saimidori and their Gyokuro Uguisu. Then Ocha had 3 that I put as meh. Their Yame Gyokuro, their Uji Gyokuro Gyokuho, I think is how you pronounce it. And then their Kamejirushi. Alright. Then, yeses. Mei Leaf's Oku Hikari, the one I'm drinking today, is a yes. Path of Cha, they had 2 that I bought last year. They're Gyokuro Hoshino. You can't buy anymore. If I'm remembering correctly, it's because the farmer died, so they had to find another farmer. And so that one you can't buy anymore. So the current one that it's just named Gyokuro, also was a yes. It was delicious. It was good. Hibikion, they bless their hearts. So I've learned with Hibikion that once they sell out, they hide the link. And so what I thought, essentially, as they released their teas, there was a lot more than I anticipated buying. Because most of these other vendors, when they sold out, it just has a note that says they're sold out. And you kind of get an idea of the scope of what their offerings are. Whereas Hibikion hides it, and every month or two they'd be like, we've released this another one. Here's this other one that we're coming out. And so I'm just like, good gravy. So they have a lot. Their yeses for Gyokuro was their Gyokuro Superior, their Gyokuro Premium, their Kuradashi Gyokuro Premium. The Kuradashi, I guess they aged in jars for several months, and then they would break it open at a particular festival. So they've got a few on here for the Kuradashis. They're premium, they're super premium, and they're pinnacle. They all did like an aged one. They were yeses. A common feature I noticed was they tasted musty or dusty even. So they were good. They were a nice experience, but it was also just like, it wasn't a fuck yes. Then their regular super premium and pinnacles were also yeses. Other than their organic one, everything from Hibikion was a yes or a fuck yes. They are I was very impressed with everything I bought from them. Next is Camellia sinensis, their Gyokuro Okabe, and their Gyokuro Shuen. Also yeses. And then Ocha, their Uji Gyokuro Fujitsubo, and their Gyokuro Yume no Ukihashi. And with that, let's drink the last steep. 70 degrees, we'll do another minute, 15 seconds. And then we'll go over my 2019 fuck yeses. Get that all lined up nice. I love this Shibori Dashi. It's just brings me joy. I think this is session 73 or something. I'm counting the sessions because, like I said, I've got 2 of these. And after I've done 100 sessions, I want to do a side-by-side just to see what the seasoning of the tea brings to the the seasoning of the teapot brings to the tea. So I'll do one that's never been used before compared to this one. So I'll do a video on that in probably a month once I've reached 100 sessions using this Shibori Dashi. It's about 10 more seconds for steep 4. And I do this every morning. It helps, and I actually do it on the floor, not on the couch here. I just sit on the floor. I slowly watch till every drop well, not every drop, but till it starts slowing down. It just kind of gets me woken up and a nice quiet intro to the day. I've noticed a kind of a pattern where about the third steep is where you kind of more floral notes become predominant over the steamed vegetable notes. So it's fun smelling the empty chahai or gongdabe. Cheers. All right, now the fuck yeses. So, fuck yes, Sugimoto Tea's Reserve Shizuku. That was amazing. It was over $1 something a gram, so it better be amazing. The one complaint I have of that one is they don't give the year of the harvest, so you're basically trusting that what you're buying is still fresh instead of lingering supply from the year before. But every time I've had it, it was fuck yes, delicious. Then Hibikion's competition grade Gyokuro Pinnacle. This was also super delicious. And an example of one of the hidden links where I've got it bookmarked, but it says link is gone until it's available again. So not a favorite of mine that they hide the links and take them down instead of just saying, this is what we offer, but we're currently sold out. Camellia sinensis, their Gyokuro Tomahamare, another fuck yes. This also doesn't have the harvest year, so I guess they just really trust the blend or whatever, and they're able to consistently keep it up and don't have a particular year that they advertise. Yukicha's Organic Gyokuro Kisi Kiri. This was the first organic that I gave a fuck yes to, partly because it's the best organic I've ever had, and I kind of grade them a little bit differently than the standard one. And so this one, normally to get a fuck yes, it needs to survive 4 steeps of amazingness. This one only did 3, but it also had very little dryness. The intensely, distractingly dry feature that I find with organic wasn't present. It was very nice, it was delicious, approachable, but did only survive 3 steeps. And then from Ocha, part of why I gave them a fuck yes was just to remind me to rebuy them, give them a benefit of the doubt, that what I was tasting was simply staleness versus bad quality. So I'll be re-drinking these for sure, at least for 2020s. They're Okabe Shizuoka Gyokuro, their Uji Gyokuro Tsuru Jirushi, and their Shirakawa Gyokuro, and their Uji Gyokuro Sui Gyoku. All these fun words to pronounce. So those are my 2019 36 teas, the results of drinking through those and hitting that super hard and learning some lessons. And with that, we'll drink the Encore, let this thing shine one more time. So, cheers. Lovely. All right. Well, with that, I'll sign off, get back to work. And I hope you have a wonderful day and take care. I'll talk to you later.